What's going on? We're at the 2019 NAMM show here with Santa Davis.
Sir.
The man, the myth, the legend. So let's start out. Let's start out with the big question. How did you become a drummer?
I became a drummer because I grew up in a place called Jamaica, and there was lots of music going on. And I really got interested in drumming because of the military.
Oh, okay.
And by saying the military, you know, like we used to have Independence Day parades and stuff,
Right.
and they would have the military do, you know, military marches and stuff.
Sure, sure.
And as kids growing up, you say, oh, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a what,
Yeah.
but I want to be in the army,
Right.
because of the drums. I saw that,
Yeah.
and that was my first thing, you know. And then in Jamaica, we used to have a lot. These are spiritual revivalist people who used to do like church services on the corners
Right.
of the street corners. They used to come at, you know, various nights, and they would do. So as kids, you would go there, watch them. They would play these little drums, like the African drums,
Right.
with little sticks and stuff. So as kids, you saw that, you know, you know. So I guess when you're growing up, you know, there are things that interest you, you know.
Right.
Whether it be the police, or okay, you see that, or you see music, you want to play trumpet, whatever. But I got, you know, itch to the drums, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, like at 11 years old, I joined a drum corps in Jamaica at the time.
Wow.
I was 11 years old. And I said, well,
11.
yeah, and I said, look, I'm going into this thing.
Yes.
So I went over there one day, just out of curiosity.
Sure.
I was coming from school because it was on the route to back and forth from my school.
Sure.
So this particular day, I went over because I heard them playing the music, you know.
Yeah.
So I went over there, and it was so funny that they were doing recruiting that day. They were recruiting new people.
Ooh,
And
destined.
because I used to just pass by, I never went over there until that day. And the day I decided to go in there, they're taking in new recruits. So I said, okay, sign me up.
There it is.
And that's where it all started.
Oh my goodness, that's an awesome story. So,
Yeah.
Then explain.
Actually, the name of the church was St. Peter Claver.
St. Peter what?
St. Peter Claver Church. And that was the name of the band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
11 years old. That is awesome.
Yeah.
You were destined to do it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
So, growing up in Jamaica, then what were some like difficulties like playing drums? You know, what were some difficulties?
Okay, my early difficulty was that, unlike here in America, you know, I didn't own a drum kit.
Right.
So you know, I didn't really get to practice on a drum kit.
Yeah.
It was mainly, okay, well, because of the drum corps, they had like, you know, regular snare drums and stuff.
Sure.
But what I would do, I would take the big bass drum, because I was what they call a quartermaster.
Oh yeah.
I took care of all the equipment. So there was this band room, and all the drums were in there and the instruments. So what I did, I went in there and I take this big ass bass drum and I set it up, and they had like a little weird little kick pedal. I put it on.
Sure.
And they had the snare drum and a little snare stand.
Yeah.
And I put it on that, and there was a little stand with a cymbal. I didn't have a hi-hat, so.
Oh,
but
man.
I was just mimicking, you know.
What you heard.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's it. But the difficult part that, for me, growing up, I didn't have a drum kit until like later on, when I started playing with a band called the Soul Syndicate Band.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Then I had a real drum kit that I could play. But from the age of 11 right up until 16, I didn't have a drum kit.
Wow.
So what I would do, I would practice on anything I could find. A piece of wood,
Right.
a pillow, and I was doing that, not even realizing that I was developing strength. And then I heard other drummers say, well, it's nice to practice on a pillow, but the problem is that when you go on a real drum, you have to like readjust again.
back off.
So
Yeah.
so it was that was a difficulty for me. Like here in America or maybe other places in Europe, whatever.
Sure.
It's easy for somebody to buy a drum kit.
Yeah.
And then my mom couldn't afford to buy me a drum kit.
Right.
And in Jamaica at the time, music in my generation wasn't looked upon as a profession.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yep.
so
No,
if you talk about you're a musician, my mom would like, well, you better go find yourself a real job.
Real job. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But you know, that's how it all started, man.
Okay. So then in that case, for some like up and coming drummers like who aren't so fortunate or what advice would you give to up and coming drummers? Or like what advice would have you given yourself?
Well, I would say the first thing is if you have interest in what you're doing, right? And believing in yourself. And I would say to a lot of musicians is to practice. Practice, devote time to doing that. Because what you put in is what you get out.
You get out, yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And also something that I had the opportunity to do, but I didn't do it because I ended up doing a lot of sessions after like in 1970, 1969, 1970, I started to do a lot of studio stuff.
Okay.
So I didn't take time to do one thing, learn to read music.
Yep. That's the hardest one.
That is a regret of mine.
Okay.
Because if I could read music, maybe because to do a lot of these, like here in America, to do certain jobs like TV shows and American Idol or whatever, you got to be able to read.
Yeah.
You can't just jump on stage and ain't nobody gonna wait on you till you get this part.
Yeah, they'll put the chart in front of you and go.
They put the chart and that's it.
Yep.
So I would encourage any young kid coming up want to learn music.
Yeah.
Because the thing is this, learning to read music is a good tool.
Yes.
You know, it's not the only thing, because then you still have to have skills.
Of course.
As a musician, you have to have skills. But learning to read, I would encourage that. I would encourage learning that part of it.
So it wasn't until after like a long time you started to learn how to read.
Well, even to this day, I mean, if you give me a chart, I would have to study it, which
Right.
that's kind of weird. It's kind of far gone.
Sure.
Because the thing is this, I used to read. I used to learn because I used to study rudiments.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I had a book that taught the rudiments of music. So I know about all the crotchets and the quavers and the semiquavers and the paradiddles and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I know that, but the problem is I never continued on that path.
So you just kind of stopped.
Yeah, and the thing is this, once you stop, it's like you lose because music is something that you have to be on top of it.
Yeah.
Because I even talk to a lot of even guys who read today. They say, man, sometimes if you're not careful, you can forget. You can lose it because so it's something that you have to do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to make an excuse, but because I could have made time if I wanted to.
Sure.
But the thing is I was doing so much recording stuff. I was in the studio doing that. Then I was doing like live shows and everything. You go by ear. You just learn the thing. Nobody's bringing charts.
Yeah.
You're playing reggae, so nobody's not really bringing like charts to you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So if I had grown up here in America, say if I was here from I was 12 or even 15 years old, that would be a different story. Because there are schools that you can go to.
Of course.
And learn, and they give you that there.
Yeah.
It's kind of encouraged more,
Oh, yeah, totally.
But that was my only regret. But I would encourage any young musician that it's very important to learn to read music as well as playing. you know?
Yeah.
Because the reading will take you to another level of, you know, when you get to the stage where you have to play certain types of music with certain people, because music, okay, chart is one thing. The music was really written so that you don't have to, people who have to keep reminding, oh, that part is coming now.
Yeah.
You have it in front of you.
Yeah, exactly.
And written music was a way to have everybody seeing what's going to happen at the same time in real time.
Exactly.
You know, so so it's not like, oh, you know, but you have to be a reader. But it is important,
Very important,
if you get into that situation where it's a large group of people, like an orchestra. If they have to sit down, if they have to sit down and rehearse a piece for, I mean, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So, you know, the sheet is good. Everybody can read, okay, and you look at it. Boom, boom. Okay, 1, 2, 3. You're there. You know what I mean?
Ready. Yeah.
Right. So I would encourage that. I would encourage any young kid, learn that part. Learn the rudiments, of course, and then learn to read.
Definitely.
I would encourage it, because I made that mistake, and certain jobs I could get, but I can't get those jobs because I'm not a chart reader.
How important is the quality of the gear you play, like to you? Like, so what does it mean to you?
Very, very important. And, you know, because, I mean, the thing is this, a good drum kit, you know, that tells a lot.
Yeah.
Good skins, you know, tuning, you know? You have to learn how to tune the instrument properly so that when you play in a band, a group situation,
of course,
you're in tune with everybody else. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And no matter how vintage or old the equipment is, I take care of my instrument like a baby.
Of course.
I service it. I make sure, you know, all my lugs are okay, and you know, everything. So it's just maintenance. You maintain your equipment.
Oh yeah, of course.
And yeah, maintain your equipment and make sure that, you know, it's ready you're ready for work at all times.
You take care of your gear, it takes care of you, right?
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Very important.
They'll see you. It's like clothes, you know?
Yeah.
You wear nice clothes, you have a nice set, they're gonna do something, you know?
And just like I would say, you know, to get a good piece of equipment, it's gonna cost you some money sometimes. So
right.
it's best to, I mean, you can buy a drum kit for $50.
Sure.
But you're gonna get a $50 sounding kit.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like,
so if you want to be on top of your game, you have to spend some money to get the right thing.
Something into it to get something out of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh.
So speaking about gear.
Yeah.
With your sticks, how did you choose your sticks? How do you like them?
How do I like my sticks?
Yeah.
Well, they have to be properly balanced. You know, right length and stuff like that. So now I'm using these sticks here, the Techra carbon fiber. And how I got involved with these sticks was a couple of years ago. I got an email.
Okay.
I was on tour actually. I was in Canada, and I got an email, and I saw the email about these sticks, and you know, a lot of times you get emails, and I'm thinking, oh, who is this person?
Sure.
You know, might be some telemarketer or whatever. I didn't know. But normally I would delete emails like that.
Yeah.
But for some weird reason, I say, you know what? Let me read this email properly. So I read the email and I responded.
Yeah.
They said, oh, we have these sticks, I would like for you to try it out, and Our companies in Italy and whatever, you know, I'm like, and we're doing these new sticks made out of carbon fiber, you know, no cutting down trees and stuff. And I said, well, I like the idea of not cutting trees down, because, you know, using the wooden sticks, a lot of people love it, but I would go to a lot of wooden sticks and then you throw it away.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay. So I said, this sounds kind of interesting. So I responded to the email. And then I spoke to Alessandro, and he said, okay, blah, blah, blah. I'll send you a pair. I said, send me a pair of sticks. Let me check it out.
Yeah.
So he sent me a pair of sticks, and those were the X-Carb 5 Bs or 2 Bs,
Yeah.
So I said, okay, cool. So I was doing a show at the Belly Up in San Diego with Ziggy Marley.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm gonna try this stick out. So I started playing. You know, in sound check, I'm using these sticks in the sound check, and the engineer, actually his name is Alex too. He said, he came to me and he said, how your cymbals sound like that? Ooh. He said, oh, you snare? I said, what? I said, because I didn't know. I didn't know that he's saying your cymbals sound different and you snare. I'm like, really? He said, what are you using? I said, well, I'm using these sticks. Yeah. And he's like, man, the cymbals, it's there's something about the presence and the attack and the snare and stuff and the top, everything. I said, okay. So then I realized there was something about this stick because sometimes, you know, you don't hear it. The people who are listening, they hear it. Exactly. Because I'm right on top of it. So
you're just doing your job.
And then I said, okay, so I got in touch with Alex again. I said, man, I like these sticks. Send me a couple of pairs. And then he sent me a couple of pairs of the X carbs.
Oh yeah.
And I was using the X carb for a while, and then
How did the signature stick come about?
Huh?
How did the signature stick come about?
It was just an argument. Just me and Alex, you know, me and Alexander, we were talking. I said, why didn't you make a signature stick with me? You know? And he said, oh sure.
Oh sure.
And that was it. And,
oh wow. Okay.
And here we have.
And there you go. Signature 2 Bs. They're beautiful. Awesome carbon fiber.
And the quality. And what I like about these sticks is that they're balanced and they're easy on my hands, because he was saying these shocks, these kind of act as a shock absorber for the hands. Yeah. And you know, fatigue as a drummer, when you play for an hour or so, when you're done, it's like,
You gotta be careful not to get carpets on them.
Right.
Yeah.
But with these sticks, they're so balanced, and it's after I'm finished playing, I don't get that fatigue anymore. For me, you know, and the sound, because you know I do a lot of side sticking, of course, you know, and I get that real pack, you know, and it's just so natural because it's all on the inside, right? Which I think that contribute to the sound traveling like that. Okay. So you know, so I'm in love with these sticks, man.
It sounds perfect. That's exactly. Oh, that is amazing.
I mean, I wouldn't go back to wood. Because the concept when he told me that, you know, we want to chop trees down, I was like, you know, I'm into that. And if we talk about, we want to do something for the earth and whatever, then do something. Exactly. And this is my contribution of helping to do something for the earth, you know? Exactly. So that's why I say, look, man, because a lot of times, you know, people make a lot of, you know, sticks like these, but they don't. I don't want to call names, but they don't work out, you know. Yeah. And I was thinking, let me see, but you know, these are fine, man. I mean, right. I did a lot of tours with these, and you know,
and they're perfect.
They're perfect.
That is awesome. That's a dope story.
Yeah.
So, last question to end it: what are your next plans? Like, what's the next big thing for Santa?
My next big thing, well, I'm actually working on a CD right now. Oh, awesome. Well, you know, I released 2 CDs like a couple of years ago. I released one called The Zone. Okay. And one like a year or 2 ago called Watch Your Liberty. It's on iTunes and YouTube, and not YouTube, but it's on Spotify, you know, CD Baby, whatever. So check it out. So I'm presently working on a new CD right now. Okay. So, and I'm using like, you know, some good equipment, you know, like I'm using Pro Tools, of course. Oh yeah. And then I'm not advertising them, but I'm using Universal Audio, the Apollo thing, which, you know, you're getting that. So, you know, so that's what I'm doing. And then I'm looking forward to going on tour with Ziggy in a couple of months, you know. Okay, awesome. So, so. That's amazing. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And just enjoying life and playing music and just loving music and just living it, you know, because the music is the life, you know.
Thank you.